Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay, back in full force, all healed up here from the little bit of an illness. I think he's still playing hurt tonight. We got Jacob in Wisconsin as well here to talk some Packers. Hopefully everybody had an awesome Sunday. It was beautiful here. Laid back Sunday, man. Got all the chores done. Got the dogs fed. Got the cows milked, the chickens. What do you do with chickens? Just wring their neck, I guess, right? Well, Peter just blocked us, didn't they?
Yeah.
You're gonna get.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Or a vet. All right. So we are live on YouTube, X, and probably only on Rumble very soon after that comment, but that's the way it goes. Gents, how was your day?
I mean, when you think about it, a vet is smarter than a doctor because he's got to work on lizards, he's got to work on snakes, he's got to work on bears. You know, they're all different, Clayton.
They are different. You're right. Very different. Very different.
Yeah.
Wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
That's right, man. You get that bird flu going around. Wash your hands, wash your butt. Tim, how we doing, big dog?
I'm feeling good. I got one functioning nostril now, so I'm ready to talk some ball. Let's go.
There you go, man.
Have you been at the Oval Office, Tim?
No, I didn't see you there, so you know, I mean, I wasn't there.
Let's go to the chat here. Everybody responding to the poll question we put up. Everybody make sure you get your vote in, okay? The question was, which defensive tackle would you prefer the Packers draft with the 23rd pick? We're not saying you have, we're not saying the Packers are going to take a defensive tackle at 23. We're saying if you had to, who would that be? The choices: Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, Tyleik Williams, or Walter Nolan. We've got that also in the Patreon group. We've got it on Twitter as well. So the chat is now responding to this. And Chris, the casual in, says Kenneth Grant. I think he'll be gone by 23, but that's not the question. There you go. So I would agree with Kenneth Grant. I think you boys probably would too. Brian Ellis says Grant, Nolan, Harmon, Williams would be my order. Got it. The aggressiver UFO. I feel Derek Harmon is pro-ready. Grant, Nolan, and Williams has to learn. Derek Harmon has the most pressures in college football as a D lineman, so that's his choice right there. He said Grant didn't test, so we have to wait for that. College Pro Day, Derek Harmon tested out of the waters, and he's a Packers fit. There you go. So
That's
it seems like everybody's
profile name right there, aggressive or UFO. I like that.
Here's the guy.
Evidently, that's a new viewer, man. So that's cool. Welcome to the family here, man. Welcome to the family. PJV, we had a very good defense last year. Stop obsessing over the sack numbers. Could not agree more. We've seen some of that in the comments there. We've talked about it. Got hold to the wrong stuff. Got hold to the wrong stats. We talked about that all year long, obviously. Guys, what would your pick be here? I think it goes without saying, mine, according to our board, Kenneth Grant. That would be my pick. But does anybody differ in a sense of who you would rather take there at 23 at defensive line? Do you have a preference over Kenneth Grant? If you couldn't choose Kenneth Grant, who would your next pick be?
Give me Derek Harmon.
Derek Harmon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of tied between Harmon and Nolan, but I'd probably lead a little bit towards Derek Harmon. But I pick Kenneth Grant as well. Like if we're going D tackle and he's on the board at 23. That's my pick.
Mm-hmm. Got it. King Tron with the super chat. Give me Harmon. Have a good night, boys. 1 of 10. Hey.
You know what that means. I haven't been gone that long.
Son of a bee.
That's it. It's gonna get hectic here if I'm forced to do a mock draft. As for whatever reason, this is Redneckville, USA. We've got fireworks going off out here, and I'm talking about cannon fireworks. We're not talking about little. The dogs are looking at me like, bro, you hearing this? You hearing this right now? So, Nitschke, I wish I could show you guys him right now. He is literally underneath my feet going.
Is that your bulldog, Clay?
I don't have a bulldog. Nitschke is the little street rat. He's the one that, funny story. Facebook post came across the timeline one day and said, hey, if anybody wants this dog, they found it down here in Johnson City. Looks like it's pretty malnourished. I'm like, heck, I'll take him. So I immediately messaged Mandy and was like, hey, man, there's this dog that's on Facebook. Nobody wants him, and the post's been up for hours. Mandy immediately went to Facebook and seen that I was the first person to comment. Like, literally, it was 3 minutes after it's posted, like, give me that little bastard right there. I want him. So we named him Raymond Nitschke, and he's shaking like a leaf right now, buddy. Hey, maybe we didn't name him right. You know, Nitschke wouldn't be shaking over fireworks, right? Like, come on. Anyway, so we will do a mock draft if we hit 10, but we got to go rapid fire if it happens. So, yep. King Tron, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate you. PJB, we had a very good defense last year. We said that one already. Yeah. So, Turtles, that was dope. McKinney quote tweeted Clay. Oh, yeah, earlier today. Yeah, I just tweeted a video of Xavier McKinney after his interception in Tennessee, that game we were at, where he was celebrating in the end zone with his teammates. And it's pretty cool. He quote tweeted it. All I said was, book it. McKinney's going to get a ring while he's in Green Bay. And it's funny, he put the emoji of the, the notepad with the pencil, yep. Right? So, yep. Yeah, he seems like a great dude, man. He interacted with fans all year long and just seems like one of those. I can't believe he's only got like 60,000 followers or 80,000 followers. It's something crazy. So everybody make sure you go follow X on X. There you go.
It's Adam, weird. Somehow though, that was controversial that he retweeted you. You know what I mean? Because you could always find some little a-hole that's going to ruin like the best day of the world. He's going to be like, somehow that was controversial. Anyways.
Yeah, it was funny watching people kind of come to the rescue there. And, it is what it is. People, all you can do is block people and move on. And if they want to be a-holes, they're going to be a-holes. But I thought it was – anyway, we'll just move on. You're right, Jacob. It's
King Tron says 2 of 10 for the street rat and the Aztec.
That sounds like a band. Street Rat and Aztec.
Let's go.
I like it, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, King Tron. Appreciate you, buddy. King Tron's like, don't make me spend $20 to get a mock draft tonight.
Ain't no problem.
All right, Adam,
that ain't no problem.
Well, Adam Block said pressure pick over a sack. Could not agree more. Now, listen, if you had to pick between a pressure and a sack, I want the sack. Don't get me wrong. But the reality is most of the time you have guys in the league that have a ton of pressures and maybe not as many sacks, and you got a guy that maybe has a ton of sacks and not as many pressures. The point of that comment, what Adam's saying here, and I agree wholeheartedly, is the goal is to affect the quarterback as often as possible, right? That's when good things will happen for your defense. So completely on board with that, Adam. I heard that a long time ago by Pat Kerwin and Tim Ryan. They said pressure pick, coverage, sack. And it was just like, hark, that makes a lot of sense. And sure enough, you see an interception most of the time, it's because they have pressure in their face. You see a sack, it's because the coverage is really good. The goal, obviously, ultimately is to get both of those synced up. And that's where you got to be sound in your pass rush integrity. You can't just pin your ears back and run crazy like people want you to. You gotta have a plan in mind, and you got to take away throwing lanes, and you got to know where to roll the coverage in terms of tendencies for that specific opponent, that specific week, all those things. So
you can get by with either or one or the other. You can win ball games, but when the two go hand in hand, man, you're unstoppable. That's what everyone's trying to get to for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Judy says sacks are small data sets. There you go. B Timmy 10. I think I'm saying that right. B Tom 10. Anyway, X replied to your tweet. That means they always see it. They do. And listen, in this regard, it was a positive comment, right? A positive tweet. They also see the negative stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's why I do not understand when people want to go to Twitter and bash players. It's like, man, can we be real for a minute? I'm a big Packer fan, obviously.
Amen. That was Lincoln.
No, that was Biggie. That was.
That was Biggie.
He said somebody got a gun outside, but you not hearing this? That's what he just said. There's a gun. No, there's not. So where was I at? God, that dog is hilarious. They see the negative too. I don't understand why people want to be negative and bash players. Like, if we're being 100% honest, 100% transparent, do you think Green Bay is this like big, glorious place where people want to go play? Like, if you're choosing between two teams and they're both contenders and they both got a good coach, and they both got a good franchise quarterback, and one's in Miami, Florida, one's in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Most players are going to pick Florida. I would pick Green Bay because I just absolutely love the place. But they're going to pick Florida. They're going to pick the warmer climate. They're going to pick, the warmer climate. So why put ourselves at a disadvantage as a fan base, bashing players so they can look up and go, man, these Packer fans are asses.
Right.
Like, why would you do that to your team and hurt? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and most people would respond to that with, well, they're not watching anyway. Yes, they are. Both good and bad. They're watching. So,
yeah. While you were chatting there, we had number 3, and now we got number 4.
King Tron.
Tron's just saying, man.
Tron's going to foot the bill all by himself for sure.
Tron, stop super chatting, man. I will do a mock draft tonight for you, brother. We appreciate you. You want one that bad, and you're always donating to the show. We appreciate it. We'll do it. We'll squeak one in here at the end for sure. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. Save your money though, man. Prince in the chat says 10 away from 4K. Let's go. All right, there we go. So we're closing in on 4,000. I'll tell you, man, we've been getting good reviews here lately. It seems like the algorithm is cranking before I made the PETA joke. So,
oh, shoot. Look at Boz up in here.
Boz said, everybody put your money back in your pocket. We're going to mock it up. Here's a $20 super chat.
Wow,
so, yeah,
look
it's
at
done
that.
now. Everyone save your money.
Man, right there.
Yeah,
Here's the guy.
It's funny, too. We didn't even set a goal. So we've created a trend here. But, yeah, so anything else on that in terms of the vote there? And I'll give you guys a result up to this point. Anything else you want to add to that defensive tackle talk? Other than I will say this, like we talked about earlier this morning, Jacob, it kind of feels like you might want to take 2 swings, right? To just try to double up and ensure that you get a good defensive tackle. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, honestly, I love it. I mean, we looked at what Goody's done in the past when we absolutely had a position of need. He dive bombed that thing. You get 3 wide receivers, get like 3 linebackers. You know what it is? I would love if he went in there and he's like, you know what, we're going to find our 3 tech. Whether it be, I would love it if they went, Nolan or if Grant is still there, obviously do that. If you can find a guy that's like like Derek or something like that. But even in the later rounds, I mean, we talked about it. Thor Griffith, certain types of people. You don't like Thor, buddy? What's going on there? I'd say like there are people. Who's the other guy? CJ West. There's certain guys that if we can make it throughout this this draft, that it just seems like it's a great idea, and that's why I do think that Goody it's not above him to trade back, even though the draft is in Green Bay. It might upset a lot of people there opening night for sure if he decides to trade back out of that first round. But I mean, I would almost love it if he did it, because that means that we've got a stab at some other people down the line there. What do you think?
Maybe
Ted?
he sticks and pick, in that first round. Maybe we grab a Walter Nolan.
Yeah,
he's still on the board, and then you take Jaden Higgins in the second.
Hey.
And you take Deion Walker in the third. There's your double dip at defensive tackle. Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you get to listen
out loud? My bad.
Did you get to listen to the morning episode, Tim?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Did you see where they had Deion Walker?
Yeah, he's it's kind of
frowning
a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Tim wrote the article, and we're like, he's not.
That's what we
here
said.
now.
Well, we know Grok's working for Tim's working for Elon now. He's over just answering questions on Grok, I guess. So. There you go. King Tron with another super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, let me get to the point then, boys. Please and thank you very much. I would love an attempt to get a top corner first round. So, listen. I think we should go corner first round for Tron. Is everybody on board with that? We good with that?
Let's do it.
Don't let me forget, because you know me. I will forget.
Here's the guy.
And listen, I apologize for the dogs barking, guys. They're usually calm, but Biggie's ready to rage war on these fireworks outside. He's trying to get outside. He's like, well, just calm down, chill out. One's about to have a heart attack, and the other wants to go out there and fight him.
It's thick.
He is thick, actually. He's lost a little weight since my brother passed away, and he moved in with us. He learned real quick, no more rotisserie chickens for dinner up here at the Bailey house. You know what I mean? We're getting on a diet, but we're all trying to lose weight here. So, again, Tron, thank you for the super chat, man. Appreciate you. All right, let's see here. Andy Monday says, anybody think Goody will trade any 2026 picks to get more picks this year? That's an interesting concept. I don't.
I'm a guy.
That's interesting.
Maybe a 2026 pick and a player to move up this year. You never know.
Oh boy, Tim, what are you
Ooh.
trying to say?
A player who shall remain nameless.
I was gonna say.
I did a mock draft once this offseason where I traded Jair and the 23rd pick and something else to get up to number 5 and take Mason Graham.
Ooh.
And I'm telling you, that draft fell into place very nice. I was like, holy cow. Now, I would love to have Ja on the roster, obviously, but we will treat the draft tonight as if Ja's not on the roster, so we were kind of forced to take a corner in the first for Tron there. But I think there's a chance, Andy. I mean, you guys know I'm boring like this. I always run it by the precedent standard. Goody's done that, right? Has he ever traded a future pick to move up in the current draft? I can't remember.
I can't remember anything like that.
Yeah, me neither. I could be overlooking it. Tim, do you remember any times that may have happened?
No.
I can't really think of it. I mean, they traded up to get Jordan that year, Jordan Love, but they traded a pick that current year, right?
Right? Yeah.
So,
Hey, just so you guys know, the doctor in the chat says rotisserie chicken is fine. It's a health food. Okay, it's basically one of the 5 food groups.
yeah, how about 3 of them? How about 3 of them? Because that's how my brother wrote.
Back to back.
Bro, that dog. It was funny too when he passed away. That wasn't funny, obviously, but I got a sick sense of humor. If you guys, that's just how I roll. And he rolled the same way, and I'm going to keep his tradition alive. But when I went down and was taking care of his property and everything back in the summer after he passed, the neighbor came over and was like, "Hey, I heard about your brother. Everything okay? You know, you guys need anything?" He said, "Man, every time my dog got off the leash over here, I knew exactly where to go. He goes straight to my brother's front door because he said he would feed him chicken every time. It's like he's like, how many rotisserie chickens did he have in that house? Like because my brother was a diabetic, he had to eat healthy, and like the doc said in the chat, rotisserie chicken actually fairly healthy if you stay away from the fattier part of it, the skin, all that stuff. So, but yeah, he said, man, I couldn't get my dog to eat his regular dog food because your brother, every time he got off the leash, he'd run straight over and your brother would be feeding him chicken. So he's a big dog guy, though. He donated to local animal shelter, all that good stuff. So he was a big pet person for sure. AFAM, Josh Myers got paid. Did he, AFAM? 1 year, what was it? 1 year, $3 million? Is that what it was? So I would like to have had him for $3 million. I don't know about you guys.
I really would have too. Yeah.
But that's the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. King Tron, thanks, boys. I look forward to hearing it on the pod. Have a great night. You all have a good one. Appreciate you, Tron, for always supporting the channel, man. All right, so the results are in. We've got 54% on YouTube said Kenneth Grant, 28% said Derek Harmon, 10% said Walter Nolan, and 8% said Tyleik Williams. Okay, so that is the results on YouTube. In the Patreon group, as I hit refresh here, it was 67% Kenneth Grant, 22% Walter Nolan, 11% Derek Harmon, and 0% went to Tyleik Williams. And then on X, let me refresh that. On X, it's 40% Kenneth Grant, 31% Derek Harmon, 18% Walter Nolan, and 9% Tyleik Williams. It's interesting that 9% chose Tyleik Williams over Kenneth Grant. You know, that's wild.
What do you think about that's one of those guys. I don't know why I just have not even processed in my register like that he could even be available or two that I'd even want him. Is that weird? Do you guys have certain players where you just like you don't even think that it's a possibility that they'd fall? So you haven't really. You know what I mean?
I think anyone could fall as Tyleik Williams.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking, but it's for some reason I just haven't given him
much thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got him in the 39 spot. That's probably why, Jacob, is because he's kind of out of that 23 slot, and he's probably gone by the time you get back to 54, usually. That's where we got him. And the reason we've got him there, Daniel Jeremiah did not have him in his initial top 50. Kyle Krabs had him at 47. Dane Brugler had him at 33. He peaked with his PFF grade this year, 56th in defensive tackles. So
and he's a bona fide 3-tech, right? Like just looking at the numbers, he played a lot of 3-tech.
The only person, to the best of my knowledge, that are in the upper echelon of defensive tackles in this draft that played a consistent 1-tech was Kenneth Grant. But Kenneth Grant played more 3-tech than he did 1. So it's just he had a few more percentage of snaps at one tech than everybody else for the most part, you know. So
What do you think about
Williams
this?
is at 400 in the B gap the last 2 years, 152 snaps in 2022 in the B gap.
Okay.
there you go.
Mr. Andy Monday brings up a great point here. He says the only trade ups that Goody has done in the first are for Jordan, obviously Jordan Love in 2020, a fourth to Miami, and for 2019 for Savage from 30th to 21st. Put that
Plus
name
two
in my mouth right there. First rounders.
Did
Don't.
he really? That's crazy. I don't remember that. So he actually traded up for Savage.
God,
But
that
30th
one's
to
tough.
21st and 2 fourth rounders.
That's
Yeah.
tough. I'm not gonna lie. That one's tough. That one's
yeah,
tough.
you would spell that Dayum. Damn. That's not a good look at all. Not a good look. Thank you for that info, Andy. Appreciate you, man. All right, so we get the poll question covered there. In the Patreon group, we had a couple of comments / questions. Moist Butter, Jacob's favorite listener, said, if they draft more than one receiver this year, who is the odd man out? I would hate to see Melton or Heath go, but they can only keep so many. That's a great question. Let's pull up the depth chart here real quick. And we got this saved now if you guys ever need it. So at wide receiver, as it sits right now, you've got Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, which he's going to be on IR, so we won't count him right now. Dontavion Wicks, Bo Melton, Malik Heath. Those are your top 5, I think we would all agree, right? Above Julian Hicks, Cornelius Johnson, and Tulu Griffin. Still trying to
Ledietrich Griffin.
Is that really his name?
Yes, it is.
There you go. Does
So
his
Tulu
mama
is
know
the
that?
nickname?
I guess so. So what he's saying here is your 5 have already established, like, if you had to cut one of those to keep, say, a Jaden Higgins, or let's say a Matthew Golden falls perfectly in your, you know what I mean? One of those guys.
Griffin or Johnson?
So which one would you cut? Would you cut Bo Melton or Malik Heath? I think I would lean towards carrying 6, but that can get a little interesting. You know what I mean? Where you're tying up an extra roster spot carrying 6 as opposed to they've carried 6 many times in the past, though, if I remember correctly. But let's play along here with the comment at hand, right? And who was it that asked that again? Oh, it was Moist Butter, Jacob's favorite person. So I'm going to say that as many times as I can because I see Jacob shake his head every time. So who would you cut, Bo Melton or Malik Heath, guys? Which one would you – that's essentially the question becomes, who would you rather have, Bo Melton or Malik Heath on your team?
Can I say something that's probably going to stir up a lot of nonsense?
Jacob, that would be so surprising coming from
It's
you.
weird. Wouldn't it be weird?
He was the best guy around.
If I am forced to be in this situation, I would trade Romeo Dobbs. I'm sorry. I would. I'd trade Romeo Dobbs. I'd open up a spot. I love Bill Melton. I love Malik. I love Malik Heath. I can't even see a scenario where I don't want that guy on the team. But also Julian Hicks. He's a guy, man. He's a guy. Here's a guy. He just really does seem like he deserves to be on this team. And you know what?
So who are you trading Rome for?
Who would I trade Rome for? I would trade him for a 4th or 5th round pick.
Boo.
I'm just saying, man.
Okay, so Jacob, again, listen, I'll say this. I think that there's many Packer fans that would agree with you on that. I personally don't agree with you, but I'm probably in the minority with the whole I'd rather keep Rome for the whole year. Let's say you have to choose between
I just caught the ball.
you have to choose between Bo Melton and Malik Heath. Who would it be, man? You got to choose between those two.
Lord. I think I'd keep Malik if I had to.
Okay. And, I don't think that's I think it's a tough decision. I really do. Bo Melton has got blazing speed. There's no two ways about it, right? He's had some experience playing F. We've seen that in mop-up times. So you could tell that Matt LaFleur wants to use him on those jet sweeps and things like that. But Malik Heath, I think, has probably the better hands, and he's the better blocker. Not that Bo isn't willing to block, but Malik Heath is a goon. I can understand that. Now, based on our current situation with Christian Watson being out till November, I personally would choose Bo Melton over Malik Heath.
As a burner, take the top off the defense.
Right. I feel like he's kind of the only one other than Jaden Reed that can do that, Tim, what do you think, man? If you had to pick between the two, because these are two of your favorite players, I know.
That's what I'm saying. You're making my brain hurt more than the
Sophie's choice,
cold
bro.
medicine is right
Sophie's choice. You gotta pick one.
now. I'm rolling with you, Jacob. I'm keeping the dog. I'm keeping Malik Heath.
Let's go.
I think to Clayton's point, I think Malik is better at the contested catch. He's got solid hands. And he's not as fast as Bo, but by no means is Malik Heath slow. So it's not like it's a matter of we're losing that much speed.
He can block.
Yeah, and exactly, he'll block a guy to a water cooler. So and plus Malik is one of them dudes that he's always looking for work. Even if he's not supposed to block, if he busts a route or play breaks down, he's going to go look for somebody to chip or something. I just like the way he plays the game, and that's not a knock on Bo at all, because I love Bo's game as well. And I agree with Clayton's point that if you're going to be down Scoot until the better part of November, possibly into early December, then you've got to look for a way to make up, for that field stretching ability. And if you're looking at guys that are in the room, Bo would be the first one that comes to mind if you're not talking about, Jaden Reed. So, But that being said, if you're going to make me pick one of the two, I've been fighting for Malik Heath for the better part of 2.5 years. So I'm going to stick with my dog for sure.
There you go. Fred McFarley, Malik Heath, 4.64 40 time, Bo Melton 4.3. It's so wild that Bo Melton ran a 4.34, man. Here's the other thing that might come into play. It's kind of a way of cheating to answer this question. Are either of those guys eligible for the practice squad if they weren't a veteran? You know what I mean? Like what I mean there is, I believe they're keeping the practice squad extended, meaning I think you can have 10 players and then 6 veterans or whatever the rule. It's kind of a wonky rule, but with that being said, if one of those players qualifies for one of those young spots as opposed to just a veteran practice squad guy, maybe you go in the opposite direction so you can kind of keep both. That's cheating the question a little bit, but yeah, I think it's a good question for sure. King Tron with the super chat. Any updates on injuries from the end of last season? To the best of my knowledge, the only injury that's going to linger into next year is Christian Watson. Now, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Is there anyone else you can think of? Like Quay had the ankle at the end, right?
Jair, that's
Jair, right? To the best of my knowledge, everybody is on track to be ready for camp other than Christian Watson. Does that sound right to you guys?
I think that's fair to say, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
All right. Appreciate you, Tron. Thank you for the super chat, man. All right. Let's move along here to a couple other things. Oh, we had another Patreon question too. Or Chris N just commented on it, said Heath is better than Melton in my opinion. So Chris N definitely agrees with you guys on that front. That he would go Malik Heath as well. So I think from a pass catcher standpoint and catch radius and blocking, it's Malik Heath. If they had the same 40 time, I would choose Malik Heath, right? But like someone said earlier in the chat too, boys, you lose Bo Melton, you lose the cheese curd drop.
Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
Tim, you're so damn fast. I love it, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that would break my heart if we couldn't use that drop anymore. I'm just telling you. If you could have seen him light up when we were in Tennessee and Emilio, when they were going to get on the bus and Emilio went, cheese curds make my stomach hurt, but I eat them though. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. So, all right. Thanks to everybody in the Patreon group. Appreciate y'all supporting the show. Let's go to X now. We are going to do a mock draft when we get ready to wrap up. So
we're at 6 of 10. Just so the
Jacob, stop it.
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper anyway?
Boz paid everybody's light bill for the month. We're good, all right. We're gonna do a mock. Deadfish says Bo Melton has been practicing with his dad and brother in the offseason. Should be in great shape to start camp. That's good to hear, man. That family, you can tell they love football. There's no two ways about it.
And that's a great point by Deadfish too, because man, if Bo shows up to camp like ready to roll and is hyper competitive, and you know how camp is, right? You get guys that are. Some guys show up ready. Some guys show up not ready at all. Some guys are somewhere in between. Right. If Bo takes that step and has his game face on from day one, he's going to pick up that bottom half of that receiver room, man. It's gonna be real interesting to watch.
Yeah. Dave in the chat, you don't want to lose your other speed option with Watson out already. That's how I'm looking at it too, Dave, to be honest with you. But I think we're in the minority, my man. Drew D said he couldn't find any other trades with future picks, by the way. Thank you so much, Drew, for double checking that, man. And Ben Holden says Bo knows. So there you go. If you guys remember that commercial.
Yes, sir.
Daniel Jeremiah put a tweet out earlier, and I thought this was fascinating. It's so simple, but it's so true this time of year. He said, mock drafts are always an exercise in futility, but this year it's more challenging than ever before. It's going to make the real draft a fun watch because we don't have any idea how these teams are going to stack so many similar players. He talked about before, early in the process, when he did his first top 50, I remember he put a tweet out and said, man, this is tough. All the players between 20 and 60 are the same. Like they're pretty much graded out the same. That would suggest if you're outside of the top 20, trade back. Now, isn't it funny? We were team trade back. The closer we get to the draft, we stop talking about it because we get excited about, well, this player might be available. That player might be available, right? But it sounds like Daniel Jeremiah, this tweet just kind of solidifies or confirms what his initial thought was looking at the draft. Is like, man, this is one of those drafts that's going to be fun. We don't know exactly how the teams are going to see these guys stacking up. What it essentially means, like Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks always talk about, the cluster busters, going to be a whole lot of cluster busters in this draft. So any thoughts on that? It kind of feels like that's how this draft is unfolding.
Yeah, I think that's fair. There are, like you said, there's just pockets of players, especially at like the D line, certain guys at wide receiver. It's such a weird draft too with the quarterback position, because usually like you understand that like these guys are gone in the first 3 picks, and it's like we don't know. Like Tennessee, who in my opinion glaringly needs a quarterback, could not take a quarterback. And if that's the truth, like, do you see Shador as one of those guys? You know, I just it's a weird draft because, and honestly, I think it's a great draft because in drafts past, you could almost, like I said, you could almost figure out like, hey, the top 5 are at least going this way. I don't think that anybody could tell you their top 5 with, if you bet like $100,000, you know what I mean? Like you bet your house, you bet your deed. I don't think anybody would do it on the first top 5 if you could get it. Whereas in drafts past, you'd be like, I know that the top 3 are going this way or that way. What do you think, Tim? Am I crazy or what?
No, I fully understand what you're saying, because I look at the top 10, and when I say top 10, like the collective, like our board, the big board, PFF's board, the top 10 to 15, it'd be really hard to like say with any confidence who you think the top 5 picks are going to be, with any degree of certainty. Like, are we prepared? Like, what if Travis Hunter falls? What if he falls out of the top 5? Abdul Carter. We talk about Ashton Genty. We talk about Mason Graham.
What about Ted? What if Ted falls?
Yeah, T-Mac. What if T-Mac falls? And all of a sudden everybody's board is jacked up after the, second or third pick, So I think it's a great point, Jacob. I think it speaks to the amount of talent in this year's draft, and, especially at the, the specific position groups, and, looking at who those, top 10 or 20 picks, what their positions of need are. You talk about best available or how is the board going to fall. I think this is one of the tougher drafts to really kind of predict those top 5 picks, at least in any particular order.
It's going to make it so much more enjoyable too, man. Like this is going to be an absolute blast. We're going to be there ground zero. We'll be doing a draft show and hanging out at the draft and going back and doing the draft show. It's just going to be, again, man, making the decision to go up for this was like, I remember, I would never forget it. And I've said this probably 100 times on this show, but it kind of really sank in with me when Mandy, I was like, hey, should we go up or should we just kind of hang out here? I can do a better quality show here than up there. And she said, Clayton, you're not going to get to see the draft in Green Bay again. And like, it hit me. I'm like, man, there's 32 other locations that, unless they skip 1 or 2, yeah, I'm going to be in my 70s the next time the draft is in Green Bay, probably. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. So if you're on the fence about going or not going, even if you go up for a day, you know what I mean? Like, Go up there and experience it, Drive up, sleep in the car, drive back, and you know what I mean? Hey, we were at the draft. because it's going to be special. I really believe that, man. I do. So since we were talking wide receivers, let's stay on this topic. And I asked Grok, who are the best wide receivers in this year's draft? I thought this was really interesting. So let's see what Grok had to say. Here's a ranking of the top incoming wide receivers for the 2025 NFL Draft based on their performances, scouting evaluations, and potentials as of March 16, 2025. Note that this list focuses solely on players projected to play wide receiver in the NFL, with Travis Hunter included due to his offensive upside, though his final position remains uncertain. Rankings reflect a blend of collegiate production, athletic traits, and projected draft stock. Listen, I know I'm a boomer. I'm the get off my lawn guy. But I'm still just fascinated by the fact that I typed that in, and 3 seconds later it spit all this out, and it gave a detailed description of Travis Hunter's situation right off the top. Pretty wild.
Get ready to go.
That's right. With that being said, number one on their list is Tet McMillan. Says why he's top. McMillan is the consensus wide receiver one for many scouts due to his rare combination of size, 6'5", 212 pounds, smooth route running, and exceptional hands. He led the FBS in receiving yards, 2,721, and first downs, 112 over the past 2 seasons, showcasing his ability to dominate as a true X receiver. This is wild. As a true X receiver. His catch radius and contested catch skills make him a plug-and-play number one option in the NFL. Projection, top 10 pick, potentially a top 5, depending on team needs. Now, we showed the first real opportunity for him to go if a team doesn't trade up, probably around the 6th spot. We've seen 6, 9, 12, 17, 20, 21, 22, 25, 27, and 29. Unfortunately, that means that there are 7 teams above us that we could go. Yeah, they're probably looking for a receiver. So, Tet McMillan, does anybody disagree with him being the number one receiver in this draft?
I mean, he's no Jaden Higgins or anything. But... No, for real, no. T-Mac's that dude. We've seen the tape, right? We've seen the skills. We've seen the measurables. Yeah, I would say hands down, probably the best receiver.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. There's really no one else that has that size. That the big knock I've been hearing on lately is like he's not fast. It's like, well, he's 6'5", 212. What do you want him to do? Like he still runs like a 4, I guess sub 4.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I have no idea. I don't know what he runs. I'm sure. Chat, help us out here real quick. Google for us what any documented 40-yard dash that we may have for Tet McMillan. Usually you'll do it at some point in their college career. They'll run a 40 and they'll have that on record somewhere. Yeah. See about how fast he was. You know who I think of when I see him? I think of Mike Evans in Tampa.
Yeah.
Mike Evans isn't blazing fast, but
that's
man,
a good
that
point.
dude.
Like if McMillan's under 4.5, he's fine, probably.
Right. Really under 4.6 in my opinion. Like if you stay under 4.6, yeah, he's going to be able to do his thing, I think. And again, we've got Travis Hunter listed as a cornerback. He's our top prospect on the board, right? Here they're including him on the list. So much like with our boy Deion Walker, if you remove Travis Hunter from this list, we would have Tet McMillan as our top receiver as well. But let's see what it says about Travis Hunter. Here, Hunter's two-way stardom, 96 catches, 1,258 yards, 15 touchdowns as a receiver, 4 interceptions as a cornerback in 2024, makes him a unicorn. Now, the unicorn there, Jacob, while he could play either wide receiver or corner in the NFL, his offensive ceiling is tantalizing. Elite ball skills, quick twitch movement, and playmaking ability after the catch. His ranking assumes he leans towards wide receiver, though some teams might prioritize him at cornerback. His projection, top 5 pick, regardless of position. What do you boys think about that right up there? Do you feel like that's a pretty accurate depiction? And let's just take this time to ask ourselves, do we think he'll play wide receiver or corner in the National Football League?
I mean, I think that's kind of crazy that you could either or, you know what I mean? Like where do teams see him as an absolute need? Do they see that we need a receiver that can do what he does? Or do they see that we need a cornerback that can do what he does? I see Brian Ellis says 4 flat is what I'm seeing. Mr. Deadfish says Draft Buzz has his time at 4.5. Dave as well
McMillan,
says
right?
McMillan is a 4.5 as well. Yeah. I'm just saying, it's kind of an interesting situation there where it's like, does Travis Hunter, when and where does he go and for what position? Like that is I don't know anyone other than, gosh, looking back on like Dion or Bo, you know what I mean? Where it's like, what position will he play? Like, he's
even
that good.
Bo didn't play both sides of the ball, right? Bo was strictly a running back in the NFL, right?
I think that's correct.
You talking about Bo Jackson?
Yeah.
He was just a running back. Yeah. He was a defensive tackle trapped in a running back's body. That dude was so physical, man. If you guys have not got a chance to watch Bo Jackson play football, man, watch his highlight reel on loop for 24 hours and then go buy you an NES and play with him on Tecmo Bowl.
You can't lose. Like,
you wonder why we had such an awesome childhood. I'm just telling you.
Do you remember that Family Guy episode where they said, when Peter picks Bo Jackson, they're like, no, Peter. And he just keeps running around the thing. And like, you can't lose if you pick Bo Jackson. You can't. Like, it's just hilarious.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, Jacob, I think to your point with Travis Hunter, we're going to find out, where he's going to play based on who drafts him.
Right.
Like a team that, let's say they're real thin at corner and they could use a third or fourth depth chart receiver. Man, they might want to run after a guy like Travis Hunter.
What do you think about what Carly says?
Opposite way, it could be the opposite way. Well, I mean, that's great. I mean, if you're that confident, this is the NFL. It's the NFL. It's not college, and it's not about whether he's capable. I think to Carly's point, like she's saying, he's fully capable. I would agree, but when you're getting NFL money, you're in an NFL locker room with an NFL staff. That team, those coordinators, they're going to determine where you're going to play. He could be a special teamer in a corner his rookie year and never see the field as a receiver. I fully believe that that's possible. It could go the other way around. He could play nothing but wide out and, gunner on special teams or something and never play corner. I don't know. I'm just saying that I think whoever drafts him, once we know who drafts him, that's going to give us a good look at, is he going to play both sides of the ball with any regularity? That's just my opinion, though. I'm nobody. I'm just a fan.
Yeah, as Carly says, he is going to play both sides of the ball. He wants to play both sides of the ball, but I don't know if the team that's going to draft him is going to allow him to play both sides of the ball. Dion tried to really, really harness it, Coach Prime out of Colorado, and he said he was just constantly bothering him about wanting to be on the field. So, me personally, I would love to see him do it because that's a throwback move. I think that's awesome. But I'm kind of with you, Tim. I would still be surprised if a team lets him truly play every snap on both sides of the ball. They may let him go out there occasionally, right? But I don't think it's going to be something where he's going to play every snap.
Especially rookie year, second year. I could see as he comes into his own as a pro and, maybe second, third year, they're like, oh, man, jump out there in the slot, let's go. And, he's all of a sudden playing both sides of the ball. I mean, we saw that with Deion Sanders. Jacob brought up Deion Sanders. Deion was a corner most of the time. And then kind of middle stages of his career, towards the end of his career, was like, oh, man, we can run this guy as a wideout. Let's do it. You
remember Deion with the classic is both? Which side are you going to eat? Both. Wasn't it the stuffed crust pizza or whatever?
Yeah.
Which one are you going to eat first? He goes, both.
Which, by the way, boys, let me just say, being the obese person I am, stuffed crust, Pizza Hut no longer has the monopoly on it. All right.
I heard Domino's got in the game.
Bro, yeah, Domino's might be my fave.
Heard it from a fan right here.
That's right. You heard it from a big guy right here. Little Caesars the other day. Tried it. Pretty solid. Breaking news. Clayton's stuffed crust pizza power ranking is number 1 with an upset. Huge upset. Domino's. Number 2, Pizza Hut. Number 3, Little Caesars. They tried. And I applaud the effort, but
thick.
So, I am thick now. You're right. You're right. And getting thicker. Chris in the chat says they'll announce when they pick him as a cornerback or a wide receiver. That's a great point. They will. Whoever drafts him, they'll probably say, kind of what the plan is. Because when they call that in, they typically, they'll give a little bit of information in that regard. So I'm excited to see where he plays. Again, I would love to see a throwback there. That would be awesome. But we'll see. Anyway, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll pick up this wide receiver talk in hour 2. We appreciate y'all. All
For
right,
those of
welcome
you
into
listening
hour
on the pod.